is Chef Dave Bishop from the Chef to You. Today I'd like to show you how to make some beef stroganoff. Very delicious dish, very savory with the brown gravy, nice tender beef, mushrooms and onions. Also going to show you how to make a sauteed egg noodle. Let's take a look at our ingredients and get started. Half of stir-fried beef. You can also use top sirloin cut about a ½ inch thick and about 1.5 inches long. Beef broth, julienne onions, flour, thyme, salt, pepper, butter, granulated garlic, fresh mushrooms, sour cream, and some olive oil for sauteing. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at our mushrooms before we get started. You want a fresh mushroom. You want to make sure it's not old, it's opened up on the bottom. You want to make sure there's no rotted spots. Mushrooms are naturally got an off-white color, and there's some of this natural brown on here. Let's go ahead and talk about cleaning one real quick here. These have already been washed, but what you want to do is take a damp paper towel or a cloth, wipe off any kind of dirt that's on there. Then you want to take the dry side of that paper towel or rag and dry it off. Do not submerge these in water. The water gets down inside, it'll rot on you, and your presentation for your meal won't be as well. Next, let's go ahead and cut one. If you're a beginner, what I would do is cut the bottom off and kind of have a stand there. Keep your fingers back and rock in motion with your knife. You can cut this mushroom. Alright, let's do one more real quick here. I've already cut the bottom off this one. You can also do a chopping motion. Take your time, no hurry. You want to keep all our fingers. Very simple to do. We're here by adding 2 tablespoons of butter, 1½ cups of julienne onions. We want to saute these. We don't want to brown them, just enough to get some of the crunch off of them. We're going to go ahead and add a pinch of black pepper, a pinch of salt. Now we're going to add a mushroom. This is 8 ounces of fresh mushrooms. We saute these onions for about 30-45 seconds. We want to cook them long because we're going to allow them to cook later in the sauce. We want that nice body to them when they're in the stroganoff. So we only got a few more seconds here. You smell that aroma of the fresh onions and the fresh mushrooms in here. That's going to be a beautiful part of this dish. Let me just mention the salt and pepper I put in here. The reason I put it in here and not just add it to the meat and the gravy later, it just brings out some of the natural flavors in these mushrooms and onions. It's just a part of the building of flavors. Alright, we got about 35-40 seconds. Take a look at that real quick. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to come right over this pot right here and dump those in there. Add about approximately 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Add our beef. This is 1½ pound of beef. You want a tender piece of beef, top sirloin, beef for stir fry. Because we're only going to be in the pot here for approximately 3 or 4 minutes. We got most of our brown out. We got a few pink tips still there. Let's go ahead and add our spices and herbs. I'm going to start with 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1½ teaspoons of granulated garlic. And the herb that gives beef stroganoff its flavor is this dry thyme. We're going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon in here. That flavor will really get through there and you'll taste it all the way through the gravy. Awesome product. And we're going to let this saute for 2 or 3 minutes till all the meat is done. Then we're going to be adding some flour to start making our gravy. Our meat's completely brown and it's done. There's no pink left in the meat at all. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Let's stir this around really well. That'll absorb the liquid that's in there and some of that oil that's still in there. When you stir it up till all your flour is gone, don't cook it too long. You're actually going to have a dry pot at this time because it absorbed the liquid that's in there. This is what's going to cause the thickening in here in just a minute. What I have here is some hot water, 1½ cups, 2 tablespoons of beef base. You can also use a can of low sodium beef broth, whatever brand you prefer. It's came to a boil. We want it to boil long. We're going to remove this from the stove in just a minute here. I want to show you real quick about the gravy we've got in here. See, it's not overly thick gravy, we want to be able to it to absorb into the noodles. It's going to tighten up just a little bit once we add our onions and our mushrooms to it. Very technique that a lot of you may know about. We're going to temper this sour cream right here into our sauce. I'm bringing some of the hot sauce over to the sour cream so that the sour cream won't be such a shock when it hits that hot liquid. We're going to stir up a little bit here. Let me add a little bit more. You want to bring this to about 100 degrees probably, so before it adds into this hot liquid over here. That prevents your sour cream from breaking. You want to do this with heavy cream if you're doing a final liaison in something, in a dish of some kind. You always want to temper. Alright, now we can go ahead and bring this over and put it in our pot. And to mention it real quick before I add mushrooms and onions to this, do not bring this to a boil or that sour cream will break on you. I got my beautiful mushrooms and onions. I'm going to add it right to this dish. And we're finished. We're going to stir it up, put a lid on it. We're going to go to our egg noodles, get those prepared, and put this right on top. Let's take a look at our sauteed noodles. We got our egg noodles just brought out of the water. Over here we got 3 tablespoons of butter, half teaspoon of garlic, half teaspoon of black pepper, quarter teaspoon of salt. We got a tablespoon of dry parsley right here. We're going to start by adding our noodles to the pot. Put our garlic over the top. More salt and pepper. Our 3 tablespoons of butter. Sprinkle this parsley over the top. This will only take a few seconds here to cook this. We just want to stir it up, get all our flavors together. Keep it stirred on the bottom so we don't stick. This is another dish that's got great aroma of that garlic coming off of there. You can actually smell a little bit of parsley. Even though parsley doesn't have a whole lot of smell to itself, when you put it in a dish like this, you can actually smell it cooking. We're going to plate up our noodles. We're going to put them right in the middle of this plate. Valley in the middle right here. Come in with our beef stroganoff. Put it right in the middle. Take that delicious gravy, drizzle right over top. Parsley flakes here, drop them over the top. Nice presentation here. Second plate today, we got some rice pilaf I just prepared here. I'm going to take a beef stroganoff, put it right here in the center, pour a little gravy on there. Again, come over, get our parsley flakes. Sprinkle a generous portion right on top of here. We got a second beautiful plate here. This is Chef Dave Bishop, cooking and teaching. Until next time, may God bless.